Action. Right, so tell me, Max, how did rap start and where?
Um, Rap started. They say, well, it's a known fact that it started in the Bronx. A DJ from Jamaica came and lived in the Bronx, and while spinning the records, there was a bit in the record where just the instrumental would play. So I used to spin that all the time, and DJs would come up and talk, and then it developed from that into Run DMC and down the ages as we know it now. A brief start.
So tell us about NWA, one of the most controversial rap groups.
Well, NWA, well, I probably know that from LA, and they're from a place called Compton in LA, which at the time when they came out was rife in gang violence. I mean, that's not London, that's LA, and that's the thing that they're into. I mean, that's the society. I mean, in a impoverished society where people don't have money and stuff like that. I mean, we look at Hollywood, for instance, and see how people in the movies get money. You know, it's gun, shoot 'em up, rob, kill, whatever. And, you know, that is life imitating art imitating life. And guys go out and do what they have to do to get their paper.
So how does groups like NWA compare to current artists like 50 Cent?
Well, I don't think there's a difference. I mean, they might be talking about certain things. I mean, back in the day, NWA was just on a total ghetto mentality in a sense, but it didn't mean that they didn't have a foresight to use what they know to launch themselves into bigger things. And now Dre's the top producer, Ice Cube's making movies and all that. 50 Cent is doing the same thing. I mean, we all know his situation, where he's coming from, and the whole scenario behind 50. And now he's turned it into an empire, making movies, records, clothing, everything. I mean, I wouldn't blame it. You can blame. Some people take bad situations and turn them into good situations, and for black people, in a sense, we're using this music to get out of our situation into other things. So we always talk about what we're coming from and what we know, basically. So there's not much difference. We're all making the same music and reflecting our life in urban society or whatever.
Okay. So do you think that gangster rappers has an effect on society?
Yes and no.
Why yes?
Yes, because I mean, as parents talk, they influence their children. The parents, absence of some parents, they listen to the radio, they watch TV. Those things influence people. They watch a movie, they influence people. It depends on the type. It depends on the individual. You know, as I say, it depends on the demons that you're stuck with. You know what I mean? A rich kid will listen to it and think, yeah, there's people out there living like that, but I don't have to do that. So therefore, he won't go pick up a gun and do certain things. All right, we might say we smoke weed. He might go try a little weed, as well as he might say that's a bad thing, you know. Okay. And on the other side of gangster rap and influence people, as I said, that you know, the poor kids now. You know what I mean? They hear how they look on the TV, see a guy with blings and chains, and he's talking that he sold drugs or shot people to get that. It takes a mentality to think, yeah, maybe if I do some of these things, I might get me some money. You know, because I have no education or whatever, or the society's not accepting me because of my skin color. I'm not saying that is a cop out or whatever, but some people use that to give them a jump or a basis to go and do things. You know what I mean? If I said in a rap, go pick up a book, read, get education, and go to college, 9 out of 10 people might say no, and one person might do that. For real. But they can't see that. But when they can see a man getting up there on TV with $1 million around his neck and said I did this and I did that, you know, down to the individual what they're gonna do about it.
Okay.
Influence wise.
Okay, nice one. Right, next question. Recently, some politicians have basically blamed rap music for the influence on the rising gun culture in London. Some have even said that there's a link between music, drugs, and guns. Do you think this is true, or do you think they're right?
I don't think so. There can be a link. I mean, wherever you find music and I mean, if you're talking about rap music, as it says, people come out in rap music and they talk about where they're coming from and what the things that they do, you know, not just necessarily to influence people that they're saying this is who I am and where I'm coming from, but I wouldn't blame it on the music itself. I mean, before before the music came about, there was always gun violence. We didn't make guns. We don't distribute guns in the neighborhood. We don't get them. And there's Hollywood blockbuster films out there. You know, they're spending millions and making millions off of violence. And everybody knows out here, sex and violence sells. You know, I think the government is using it as a cop out. I even believe that the government is making money off some of these films that are coming through the country, because they are.
Real?
I reckon so.
Okay.
They got to be making some backdoor money off of it, and they're trying to leave that alone. But where we're making money and coming out of our situations where we've been put through this music, they're going to try everything and say everything to blame it on that so they can close it down, and we can't have nothing, so we stay where we stay.
So do you think this is more of a social problem then?
The gun thing?
Do you think the gun thing is much more of a social problem than it is the rappers trying to glamorize it? I mean,
it is a social problem, because anything in the neighborhood it's going to affect people socially. I mean, if someone gets shot, there's kids crying, there's parents, there's all kind of things like that, you know. And at the end of the day, guns are not right for the community in any way, you know what I mean. But at the same time, it's the world we're living in. You know, this is what certain places were built off. In America, it's a thing where the West was won by the gun. You know, and at the same time, some people grow up in situations that they cannot get out of. You know, and if a man's coming to you with a gun, how are you going to defend yourself? You got to fight fire with fire. Okay. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's a do or die thing.
So how would you compare a current artist like 50 Cent, who some claim that he glamorizes the gun, to say a 1963 Sean Connery James Bond?
I mean, at the end of the day, what 50 is doing on his records, he's telling his life story at the same. I believe, and at the same time, I don't know how I would put that into context now. I don't know how to put that one into context.
No, not a problem. So okay. Right, keep it rolling. So I'm so uncomfortable there. It's okay. All this is getting cut out anyway. Yeah, is camera still rolling? Yeah. Okay. Right.
One second.
Okay, fine. Right, everyone, Chris, scratching bars and everything.
You need to fart now.
Okay. Right. Okay. We go for the second. Did you fart?
What the fuck?
Nah.
You never farted. I'm gonna rewind this tape, motherfucker.
Wait, hold on. Roll on 3, 2, 1, roll.
Okay. So when you listen to gangster rap, how does it make you feel?
It doesn't make me feel anyway. Just as I said, it just makes me. It just shows me, or I hear how someone is trying to, or how they're living their life, or what they're trying to portray in the music. In their song, it doesn't make me want to get up and go outside and pick up a gun and go stand in the corner and shoot people. It makes no sense. It's just entertainment to me. And it's like going to watch as you said, a Sean Connery film. It's sex and violence. And how many places does Sean Connery break into? And who's he doing it for? Queen and country. You know, so he's got a gun. He's breaking into places. He's breaking all kind of laws. And there's no problem with the violence and the blowing up of things in a James Bond film. But we put out a record, 3 minutes, you can't see anything. But then sometimes we have a visual with a video. You know what I mean? And then we get blamed for the whole manufacture, the distribution, and the use of guns, and the violence and the deaths and the killings. Rap music. And now how does that work?
Okay, so as a rapper yourself, if you knew that some of your lyrics inspired someone to pick up a gun and go and shoot someone, would you stop saying that particular song as a rapper?
Yeah, well, if I knew, well, I mean, it depends on how I believe I put across my lyric, and the reason I put across my lyric, and if that's my heart and soul I'm putting into that song, I'm going to continue doing my thing, right? Because I might say I had to pick up a gun, you know, and fight for my rights. You know, that doesn't mean I went up there and went out there and used the gun. You know, I probably know that whoever I'm going to deal with, for whatever reason it is, you know what I mean, has a gun, or he's got 10 guys around there with guns. So to go down there to go protect myself, I probably might pick up a gun. But that's not my mentality, you know. But it's at the same time I said fight fire with fire.
For real. So how did most of these rappers get so rich?
The entertainment business. You know what I mean? And as they say, they got what's his name? Got you up in court right now.
Yeah.
As they say, the link between drugs and blah blah blah. It's the environment you come from. I mean, a guy be in the neighborhood and he might have sold drugs. And I mean, we don't manufacture drugs. They come from wherever they come from. Or we all know Colombia or wherever, and we know who the bigger heads are sitting on it and who's making the real money out of it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the rappers or whoever they are, not every rapper you see has gone out there and sold drugs to get what they've got. Some of them just made their money through their music. You know, some of them, what you see necessarily on TV isn't necessarily what a rapper has. You might see the chains of this, that, and the cars, but that doesn't mean he's rich. He might be taking a bus home after the video shoot. You know? And there's some that have done what they've done to make their money. And some of them who still have their ties in the neighborhood or whatever, or where it's coming from. Let's be real about this. It's a reality thing. Some people do what they do to survive.
So why do you think that rap music sells more than any other music, than conscious?
Because it's a reality music of today. It's on the pulse of the kids today. Okay. You know, it's a basic. It's like you put on a 3-minute record and whoever the artist is having a conversation with the world. You know what I mean? And you're seeing where he's coming from. You see how he gets money. You see how he gets down, how he gets girl. It's like a blueprint. It's telling you what to do in a sense, or this is what I do. You know what I mean? And this is how our social neighborhood. You know, and sometimes it's entertainment to some people. It's fun to some people. Some people take it too far. Some people take it too serious. You know, and blame a lot of things. I think that's a cop out when people blame things on music. You know.
So you think it's a cop out when the government blame?
Of course it is. It's they can blame. They need to blame themselves. You know.
Okay. So you reckon the problem lies with the government, yeah?
With the gun thing?
Yeah.
Well, I believe so. The governments have the powers to make guns. The governments have the power to stop the guns. You know, but who's to know if they're not getting revenue off the sale of guns? Well, we do know about the Bushes of this world, who have ties with gun companies. You know, and when they start war, they make billions, and then we get the blame.
So who purchases rap music? Who's the majority? When you're in a concert, for example, who do you see? Who's the most people who come to see?
Back in the day when we was running around doing things, that it was a predominantly black thing.
Okay.
But now, as you said, it's grown from our neighborhood, a black neighborhood, or wherever, or the social consciousness of black people. You know, talking about the struggle. It's like going back to slavery days. We always had when the slave owner was coming, we would say in a song or whatever, and in our little code, and we'll know that to hide or do whatever, the man is coming. So now we have our own little, it's like our own little Negro spiritual, our little rap music. It's our own little thing. You know, and once we can communicate to ourselves, in the early days, they say they couldn't understand it. You know, now everybody else is understanding it. They want to get down. And you go to a concert nowadays and it's predominantly white. I went to...
So it's predominantly white people who listen to...
I would no one say any... No, rap is rap, not just gangster rap. You know what I mean? If you're talking rap, we're talking rap. If we're talking guns, we're talking guns. We're talking gangster rap. It's all in a genre. We have love rap, gangster rap, or hardcore rap. You know what I mean? Either pop rap, all kind of things. And before it started from a little MC party rap, and it's taken on many forms and shapes, gone global into businesses and all kind of stuff like that.
So let me ask you a question. How to stop the rising gun crime in London, what do you think is the solution?
Well, first of all, I think the government needs to get in there and give some of these kids things to do. You know what I mean? Like community centers wise, where they can go and make some music and don't have to deal with guns. But at the same time, it's some of these places where some of these kids live. It's their environment. You know, they grew up in it. Whether their parents was growing up in it, whether they're being influenced by music. You know, how do we stop all of this? You know what I mean? I mean, it's the world that we live in. And some people can't run from the world that we live in. Without sometimes having a good education. You know what I mean? And right now, most of us are trying to get ourselves an education, but the reality of it is a lot of us don't. You know what I mean? So we use whatever means we can. When our back's against the wall, we use whatever means sometimes to get up. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you something. Coming from an urban area yourself, where do you think most of these kids are getting these guns from, and are they easy to obtain?
On the real, anything you want in this life or anything you want in London, you can get. You know what I mean? Basically, we all know what you want, you can get it. But some of these sources where they're getting it from, who knows? And to be honest, we can get these things from anywhere. From a measly £500, you can pick up a gun from on the street. Less than that too. You know, and some of these supplies, you'd be surprised about these armies and these ex-soldiers and this, that, and the other. That's got access to all these things and selling them things to the kids on the street. The rebores, the shops were for pellet guns. The rebores, you know, they refix them to make them shoot again. We've all read about that in the press, but we don't make these things. They're there. You know what I mean? And they're readily available.
Okay. Right, last year there was 224 firearms offences in Brent. Compared
Damn.
To,
My neighbourhood.
our neighbourhood. Compared to only 19 in Richmond. Why do you think this is?
Come on, man. You know what Richmond's about, man. La-di-da, the coffee teas and all that, man. You know, that's the rich neighborhood. You know, they got money. You know what I mean? Whether it's old handed down money from the slave trade or whatever, you know what I mean? They got money. They don't need to be going out on the corners trying to get money for their crying baby or whatever. And there's not 10 of them living in one room and they're trying to get up and get out. So they have to find a way because they haven't gotten any education, because they have to stay home and take care of their little brother or whatever. Because mom's working 2 jobs.
So you believe it's more of a poverty thing that's got something to do with the gun crime?
Well, tell me something. If you had a couple million in your pocket and you had no enemies and no worries and you didn't have to do nothing, I mean, would you need a gun? Unless you're clay pigeon shooting? I wouldn't need it. I mean, if I'm up there, unless I got someone threatening my life, I wouldn't need that type of thing.
So what do you rap about mostly?
Me, I rap about the struggles that we go through and the things that we have to do to get ahead. You know, if I say that I shot a gun or I sold drugs, it's a means to an end. You know, I talk about some of the worst things sometimes in the neighborhood, but if I said I did it, in my head, me personally, it's a means to an end. You know, if I'm broke and I can't get myself a job or my job ain't paying me enough, I do whatever, it's a means to an end. I get some extra money and I use that to get onto something else and try and leave that alone. But if we ain't getting there, we're going to continue doing it until we get somewhere.
Okay.
You know?
So basically, if you made an album,
Yeah.
and you knew you could make 20 million pound, English pound, but all you're going to be talking about is guns, drugs, and sex, would you do it?
It depends on my mentality. If I wanted to get rich off that type of things, probably yes. But being an MC or a rapper or whatever, I portray what is real to me. You know, so at the end of the day, if I don't sell 20 million and I only have 5 people listening to it, it's not what I'm doing music for. At the end of the day, I'm doing music because I love it and I love writing. I love creating things. So if I had a chance to make 20 million, I would want to make 20 million. Not say about just talking about guns, because I would not be happy. Because when I go home at night and I sit down and listen to guns, I'd say totally that is not me. You know what I mean? And this is not influencing my children. And then my children are going to be around singing gun this and I shot him in his head and blah, blah, blah. And then what they're going to turn up to be.
So you reckon when a child does hear a rap song, it does kind of make them sort of recite the words, then it does make them go on?
Let me tell you something about children. Sometimes they know some of the bad words that their parents might say or they've heard on TV or whatever. And if they hear them in the songs, those are the words they pick out. And those are the ones sometimes they choose to say. These are just kids. We all know kids. You know what I mean? So sometimes I try not to put too much negative stuff in it. But if I'm going to be real and explain on the reality of things, sometimes certain things have to be talked about.
For real. So when you're rapping, you're in the studio, what exactly is going through your mind?
When I'm in the studio, try to get this song down and save some money.
For real. And in one word, sum up gangster rap.
Life, man. Life on record. I don't think I can put it into one word. You know, I'm not a gangster rapper, so I don't think I could sum it up. But I think it's just a situation that people go through, and they're just talking about what they know. And at the same time, sex, drugs, and violence sells. I can get on a song all day long and talking about picking up leaves in the park. Some people might find it amusing, but some people always want to know how that guy got shot. What did he do before? And if I condense that down into a 3-minute record, it's like a movie on wax in 3 minutes. It's entertainment. People want to know. They always want to get to the end of it. You don't start watch the 5 minutes, the first 2 seconds of a movie and say, yeah, hype. They build the story and they get through it. You know, so sometimes these rap records, gangster rap, it's a story of life. Ongoing, never ending.
Maximilian, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, man. My pleasure.
That's alright. And that's a wrap, lads. Oh, fuck yeah. Sorry.
Careful with the mic there.
How was that? I thought that was a pretty